Hey guys, Matt here. This is my review of the incredible BURT Wonderstone. This movie is directed by Dan Scardino, and the movie stars Steve Carell, Steve Buscemi, and Jim Carrey, with Alan Arkin and Olivia Wilde. The trailer to this movie makes it look one way when it's actually a little different. Here's the plot the best way I can describe it. Steve Carell plays BURT Wonderstone, a man who's been in love with magic ever since he was 10 years old. And he has a partner, Anton Marvelton, played by Steve Buscemi, and they have a magic act in Vegas. And it's not until a new magician, Steve Gray, played by Jim Carrey, comes in that people start to flock to his new and improved and extreme style of magic. And so James Gandolfini plays Doug, this rich hotel owner that says, I'm going to open up a new hotel, and whoever acts amazes me the most, they're going to get the opening slot. And so Steve Carell must go on a journey of self-discovery to rediscover why he fell in love with magic and to get that passion to be great and enthusiastic once again. Now, I like this movie because this was Steve Carell's movie. And when I say that, I mean this was his Anchorman, this was his Semi-Pro, his Talladega Nights, his Blades of Glory, like they were for Will Ferrell. This is his new original character, and so is the rest of the cast. The rest of the cast, have silly names and silly wigs and silly personalities, but they all work well together. The only problem is when you have an original cast with an original setting and original characters, you also need to make sure you focus on the comedy in this movie. And well, was this movie funny? Well, let me just say, the incredible BURT Wonderstone is pretty much anything but incredible. Now, this movie was pretty much an homage to magicians and the art of magic, but beneath all the magic tricks and magic lingo and all the fake wigs that everybody wears, they kind of seem to lack in the comedy department. Now, Steve Carell's character is BURT Wonderstone. He's a very egotistical man, where he's a jerk, but he's not like, yeah, I know, I'm cool, whatever. He's just a guy that's like so used to being popular and rich and famous that he really hasn't developed a personality. He really doesn't know anything outside of his character of BURT Wonderstone. He doesn't know how to be a human being. He doesn't know how to share his emotions or his feelings or his thoughts or really consideration for anybody else. And so because of that, I found his jokes to be a little too dry or just not funny because he doesn't have a personality. Therefore, he can't be Steve Carell and really deliver the jokes the way he should have been able to. His partner, Steve Buscemi, was a good addition to this movie. I knew he wasn't going to be in the movie for, the whole thing. And I'm glad he wasn't because I like Steve Buscemi a lot, but this movie was more or less about Steve Carell's character. So Steve Buscemi worked. He had some awkward moments in this movie, but he also had some really funny, good job, Steve Buscemi. I'm glad you got that role in this movie type parts. Supporting cast. Jim Carrey. I liked him in this movie. I liked how he was the extreme magician, but I also liked how he was a supporting role, and he knew that. So Jim Carrey wasn't hamming it up, trying to steal the show. He was a supporting role, and I liked how his character was treated as such. Now, people can complain that, oh, Jim Carrey was being Jim Carrey and just over the top and crazy. That's not true, because his character was written that way. So, regardless of who would have played Steve Gray, that's how the character would have acted. Now, Alan Arkin in this movie, he also wasn't in it as much as I thought he was going to be, but that's okay, because he was in it for just enough. I liked him. I'm glad Alan Arkin wasn't playing Alan Arkin like he has in his last couple movies. He did a good job. The aging magician, kind of like Patches O'Houlihan in Dodgeball, where he used to be great and he's kind of given it up and lost touch with it, but good job on his part. The only two supporting characters I really had a problem with were Olivia Wilde and James Gandolfini. Was this rich hotel owner, and besides the one or two jokes about his son's age, he really didn't do anything for me. It was like, okay, it's cool to see James Gandolfini, but that was it. He really wasn't funny in this movie. Now, Olivia Wilde, she is very attractive. She's very nice to look at, but it's like her last couple movies, besides maybe Cowboys and Aliens, her roles could have been either done by somebody else or could have been taken out of the movie altogether, because she didn't bring anything to this movie. Besides being the magic assistant that gets called the wrong name, nothing. She could have been taken out of this movie and you really wouldn't have noticed. She was like the kind of like love interest for Steve Carell, but other than that, her character didn't have to be there. So, because this movie wanted to be good, it wanted to be Anchorman for magicians, it wanted to be so much more than it actually was. It wasn't. It had, you know, a good period there where it's like I didn't laugh, you know, I wanted to chuckle, you know, to kind of support the movie in some way, but it just, some of the jokes fell flat, or I didn't think they were funny, and it's a shame because only the last maybe 30 minutes of the movie had me laughing out loud. So because of that, from a rating of 1 to a 5, I'm going to give The Incredible Burt Wonderstone a 3.5. I like the actors in the movie, and I like the characters, but the delivery of some of the jokes just didn't work for me. So I would rent this movie. I wouldn't rush out to go see it. You know, until next time, guys, see ya.